Hi guys, this is week 26 Project Life and I'm using the brand new August Citrus Twist Kit's Pocket Life Kit. So I'm just starting with my photos like normal and then I'm going to go through these 3x4 journaling cards. I had to pick out that Today In card that was my favourite, and so I just had to shuffle things around so that I prefer not to have two journaling cards right next to each other. So I've picked out this Yum one. And I've also grabbed a couple of the 4x6 cards, but I think I'm actually going to swap out the top one. It just felt like a little bit too much red, and although I was going to sort of have a bit of a challenge to use red because of that Today In card, I just felt like having the big 4x6 one as well was just a little too much. So I'm just putting in one of the 6x8 papers, and I'll cut that down later, and then I'm just going to start going through all these little die cuts just to see if there's anything that I think might work for this week. Now, this does take me quite a while because there are so many die cuts in this pack, and there were quite a few that I really liked but just wasn't going to be able to make work this week, and in the end I did pick out a few and I do manage to make them all sort of work reasonably well. So I'm just putting aside the ones I don't think will work. These are the ones that I really want to use, and I'm also going to use this cork piece. I wondered whether I might be able to use more than one, but I think for this week I'm just going to use that one. This Here We Go die cut I really wanted to use, but it was sort of on the wrong side for my photo, or my photo was on the wrong side for the die cut. So instead, I'm just going to cluster a few of these stamps together down the bottom here, just using the Brilliance Moonlight White ink. There were sort of three that really worked for the photo, and I couldn't decide which of the three I was going to use, so in the end I used all three. And it sort of felt like I needed something to ground it, so underneath the stamping, now this was totally luck, I didn't plan anything, this chipboard sticker fit perfectly underneath, so I'm just lining it up against the stamping, trimming off a little bit of the edge of the photo, and not because it needed extra adhesion, I just like the look of having it stapled down, so I added a tiny staple. This card here, I'm just going to type my journaling this week, so it's a little bit messy, but I kind of like the look. Sometimes I'm not that fond of my handwriting, so I quite like the typewriter look, and so I've just stuck my photo down over top, and again, I want to add a little bit of red just to tie that red card in, because red's such a colour I don't normally work with. Like, I don't want heaps of it, but I do need a little bit more than just the journaling card. So I'm adding a couple of the plus signs, and that sort of pulls the red down into the bottom. This photo is just getting the cork piece on the top, and there's almost sort of a red tinge to it, like in the skyline there, so I sort of think that ties in really nicely as well. And then I'm just working out where I'm going to go next. So I really wanted to use some of those puffy hearts, and I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with this photo because there wasn't a lot of room on it. So I realised if I turned the photo round and did the stamping vertically, that sort of filled in that wee gap there, and it's also something different. I don't often stamp vertically rather than horizontally, and I quite like the way it turned out. Just to the bottom of that I'm going to add one of the tiny puffy hearts, but not in red. This time I'm adding it in the aqua colour to try and tie in those little bits of aqua as well. This tag was just slightly too large for the photo, but I think I can just fit it on there without covering up the very muddy shoes and chopping off the authentic. So I've just stuck that on and trimmed it off, and it worked really nicely. Then I'm going to really carefully run that through my typewriter as well. That was a little bit harder. It did bend the photo, but typing on the little tag without it stuck onto something would have been even harder, so that's why I stuck that down first. I'm going to add a couple of arrows to this card. I was just trying to work out where I was going to put them. So I'm going to add this tealy blue one and the little black puffy sticker one, and I really did want to add one more, you know how I am with threes, but in the end I just couldn't make it fit, so two it is. This card I'm going to do the same thing, type my journaling on. The journaling didn't take up quite as much room as I thought it was going to. Like, I thought I was going to be able to fill up the whole card, but that just didn't happen. So then I end up with this really awkward space down the bottom, and I can't really work out what I'm going to fill it with. These little chipboard stickers, they're sort of too small, so in the end I grabbed this die cut, which sort of worked quite nicely because it is actually pointing at the photo that the journaling is referring to. So just to tie in that red again, a couple more of those sticker hearts. Now for my title card, I'm using the 6x8 paper, which means I can cut this down and almost get 2 4x6. One is slightly shorter than 4x6. I don't know what it is with these papers, they're never quite the right size, but it'll be close enough. And I'm actually going to use the back of one of these die cuts just as a place to do my stamping for my title this week. So I did finally manage to add that Here We Go die cut piece. And again, I'm going to add in a little bit of the red with this red arrow. I just need one of these labels to do my date stamp on. So I'm just going to trim that out of the cut apart sheet, and then I can stick that down here. And here's my mistake. I'm so keen to get this red arrow on. I stick that down, and then I go to do my date stamping, and the first one works perfectly fine. And the next one, of course, I've stuck a big chipboard sticker there, so of course the stamp doesn't work. So then I have to really carefully peel it up, which it only ripped a tiny little bit of the paper, you can't see it, and then re-stamp it, which actually I stamped it almost exactly in the same place, so that was more luck than good planning. Can put my sticker down, and then I'm just using the Citrus Twist Kit's alpha stamp to stamp out my title, since there were no alphas in the kit this month. And with that, that is this month all done. So my challenge to you is to use a colour you wouldn't normally use. You might be surprised at the results. I don't really love red, but I love how this turned out. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!